up and down the neck. Once you get used to moving it up and down the neck, figuring out what key songs are in, that lick is yours. So if I'm playing it, maybe it's a key of G lick, so now I can move that same lick to the key of A. That lick's mine. Anytime I playing with somebody else, I don't know what's going on, I can just whip out licks that I know from other songs. And just start playing it. And the reason I was bringing that up, there's this lick from Tennessee Whiskey that I like, where he went from an A, and he had a little lick where he kind of did a little slide up deal. And I know with That's My Kind of Night, I'm stuck with this A for a while, so I wanted to find something I can hit and then come back to it. So actually I screwed up whenever I did it, but it sounded alright. And it's just a simple 4th fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, sliding up 2, and then sliding back down 2 real quick, hitting that A. So it's something like that to kind of throw in that little empty space. And you can just mess with the recording a little bit, get the timing right on that whole. Whenever I was messing with it, I liked it. It followed the melody pretty well and didn't conflict with the song at all. Ready? The next point I was bring up would be in Smoke. Smoke has its main riff up here at the 12th fret. I don't really like to play up here on the 12th fret on my guitar whenever I don't have an amplifier or anything to amplify the sound. So to keep it full, I like to transfer all licks up here down to here. So my 13th fret of the B string is actually also the same note as the 1st fret on my B string, and vice versa for the 15th. It's down here. So I want to keep open. I want to keep chords going. So I modified my G a little bit. I actually forgot how that one really went. But anyways, just experimenting with the strum pattern to keep it in motion, and then my hammer on and pull offs. Alright, so everything up on the 12th fret you can transfer down here just as simple. So any licks that you feel that are too high, just transfer them. Get them down here to the low end to where you can easily just grab a hold to them and work them. So just... That's really all I got to say about Smoke. There wasn't much going on to it. It had a decent amount. That's just one of those things you just have to kind of play with the rhythm and play with the hammer-on and pull-offs. I only messed with it really for maybe an hour or so last night. You can tell from the other video it was a little bit smoother earlier today whenever I was messing with it. Right now it's not too fresh on my mind. Also, another thing that is good to know about scales, if you're having trouble memorizing them, the way I actually found has been helping me out it's going to sound dumb, but let me explain. Forget your skill. Because when you forget something, if you want something in your long-term memory, you want something that you continuously have to work on. In other words, whenever I was playing my diatonic first position, whenever I was playing that, I was having trouble completely memorizing, always having to really think hard about it. But to get it to where I didn't have to, I would play it. Then I would go to something I was working on, whether it was a song, solo, or something like that. Work on that solo, and then I'd come back to it. If I remembered it, I went and continued doing whatever I was doing, or just put down the guitar entirely and went and did something else. And then I would come back to it, and then if I had to look it up, that's when I was making progress, because I was having to re-look at the screen and place my fingers each and every time, which in return it puts strain on your mind. You're having to think, you're having to focus, and the more times you have to think and focus on something, all of a sudden your brain's like, okay, I'm having to relearn this. After a while, it'll eventually click and it would stick. If you're remembering it out right from the get-go, it's not going to stick long-term. It's going to stay in your short-term memory, and then it's going to be wiped out once it's done. But if you continuously have to come back to something, look at it, relearn it, then that's usually whenever it sticks best. It's been actually helping me out a whole lot without having to think too much about what's going on here, and just getting those faster under my fingers. And now I'm able to just look at the board and I can already see whenever I'm thinking G, I know it's here. Whenever I'm thinking D, I know it's up here. Whenever I'm thinking C, I already can see the whole pattern. I just need to find that starting note where it'd be. And doing the same thing with the other patterns. Sometimes you can just work on 3 or 4 patterns at one time. Work on your first one, then your second one, then your third one, and then come back to your first one. If you remember it, keep adding, go to your 4th one. Then you come back, okay, now I forgot it. Now relearn it, and then so on and so forth throughout the entire neck. That's the best way. I think it's been helping me out the most. It sounds weird. Remember something, forget it. Yeah, that doesn't really sound like it adds up, but whenever you actually put it into use, it works pretty well. But that's still going to be... Yeah, it's the best way to be able to mess with a song and be able to find the lick and everything you're wanting, just with the notes that are supposed to be good with that key. But I like to use it right now, since I'm not that big into the, or I don't know too much about the actual note names per se in the middle of the guitar. I really use it a lot for the locking down the licks that I'm learning from other songs, and being able to move them up and down the neck to different sections of the guitar. That way I can play them in different keys and different stuff like that, and be able to have a little bag of licks that I can pull out, and not overstressing myself when improvising, because I'm not that great at that yet. But I'm still working at it. I'm still trying to make my own licks. But that's the best way to be able to do that, is take people that influence you, that you like their music of, obviously. A little Stoney LaRue right there, which I'll get into a video after this. And yeah, that's about it. Just finding the high notes, switching them to the low, keeping it low on the acoustic, because the acoustic responds better with the bass. And just taking any kind of lead work I can see in those empty spaces to another one. And like I said, if you need to, go to other songs. We have hundreds of songs to pick from. If you're listening, don't listen closed-minded just for that one song. Listen openly. That way, if you hear something from another that would sound good in another song, put it in there. The link from Feeling It, I'm going to be showing how I use it in Stoney LaRue's Oklahoma Breakdown in the next video. Alright guys, I hope you liked it. I hope I kept it short enough.